Hello there, this is Ben Fournier or Benevolent Satacorm. Here's my blog post about paranormal research in Christianity. While it is easy to categorically presume any potential activity such as poltergeist to be the behavior of demons, is that the only possibility? Certainly it's safer to assume so in a manner similar to Pascal's wager, since if they're pretending to be former humans, that could be like a con artist game. Perhaps those of ENTP personality would tend more towards that, while ESTP ones would do more physical bullying. But what if some activity is actually angelic rather than demonic? At least in some cases, like ghosts walking across roads at night, and AVPs, auditory, not a voice phenomenon, saying to leave locations, as opposed to EVP, which is electronic, where it's like on a recorder only. That one would be actually audible. Saying to leave locations that are in some way hazardous. I think it could be regular angels rather than fallen angels doing the haunting as a sort of warning rather than just to mess with people. Or of course it could still be demons too, like with Christ allowing Legion to possess the herd of pigs. Perhaps God would be allowing lesser evil behavior in abandoned places rather than greater evil behavior in occupied places. One thing though, although I forget the verse, I know there's a passage that says not to communicate with spirits, not specifying which variety, so it doesn't matter whether they might be former humans or demons or supposed angels. We're not supposed to actively communicate, at least. Demons, of course, would be full of lies, or half-truths at most. You do have the passage in which King Saul used a medium to speak with Samuel, so that may show it's still possible to communicate with human souls afterwards, despite it being forbidden, but just because something can be done doesn't mean that it should be. So what of things like EVPs, AVPs, spirit boxes, and assorted other gadgets and gizmos? Well, it's clear that Ouija boards are a bad idea. IMO, just, in my opinion, just hearing EVPs, AVPs aren't evil in themselves so long as no questions are being asked. Passive listening shouldn't be counted as active communication. EVPs certainly are fascinating too. They're very weird. Although it's somewhat bizarre if it's primarily the voices of demons being recorded. Still proof of the supernatural, although perhaps bad for the soul if you let them influence you. That is a risk, too, especially for anyone going into haunted places. Not merely the poisoning of one's soul by more obvious voices of demonic entities, but potentially getting attachments from them, like a bully noticing a kid with Asperger's syndrome. Anyone among the curious may stand out as potential targets, especially if they mistakenly invite them. Never offer to let them use your energy or anything like that. So far as I'm concerned, if they have the power to create interdimensional holograms, they don't need someone's energy. In their own universe, they probably have something like 0-point power supplies or whatever else to bridge the gap. So what little human souls have is not going to do much anyway, except inviting trouble. I do find it fascinating to see haunted places documented, though I am uncertain I'd want to risk bringing home anything that would hurt my birds. If the devils view those created in God's image with such contempt, they'd think even less of creatures we care for, so it's best to be careful. Overall, while I wouldn't want to go myself, I still think it could be a worthwhile endeavor. Just proceed with caution and don't actively communicate or use witchcraft, not whatsoever, as that invites evil. Pray to God and be careful. Well, yeah, best to avoid, really. Anyway, take care everyone and try not to go crazy.